Hey everybody, and welcome to TJ's Lego Room, and today I'm excited to finally fulfill a request that has been in many of my video comment sections, and that is that I actually do a Marvel build. It's been a while for sure. I'm a very vehicle-based person, and Marvel doesn't really concentrate on vehicles. They're much more character-focused, which is great for storytelling, not so great for my skills at building mocks. So, let's show you what I've got here. So this is the Whiplash Mk from Iron Man 2. And this is kind of the last battle between the two. I kind of rigged up a quick little display here showing Iron Man and War Machine fighting Whiplash at the very end of the movie. I didn't do a ton of work on the landscaping because I got to this point and I said, oh, wait a minute, I don't do landscapes. That's right. So I threw it together really quick to kind of give you the representation. But this, having it displayed like this, really does show off the whips, which is a new thing that I've done here. I don't know if people have used these before. I actually did use the Indiana Jones style whips, the tightly coiled whips, and using the hollow stud pieces as well as the round studs, the Translite blue round studs here, I was able to just kind of string them along that coil to get it to kind of curve on both sides here. I'll break it down a little bit better for you in just a minute. But I was really excited to do that. I figured out how to do the whips, and then I was able to use the Igor armor techniques to kind of get started. I'll do a quick 360 view here for you. There are quite a few changes from the Igor armor. This doesn't use this exact same stuff as Igor, but it's pretty close. The arms definitely used a lot of inspiration from Igor, but this guy is a pretty unique character, and gosh, I've always wished that they had a Whiplash character, but I don't think Disney, or I don't think Lego took over the license for the Marvel building sets until Disney took over with the first Avengers movie. And Iron Man 3, I think, was the first Iron Man movie that we actually got sets from. And believe it or not, that's actually Ben's favorite Iron Man movie, is Iron Man 3, which was actually my least favorite for the longest time, but I'm warming up to it. It's pretty good. So here's Whiplash. He's pretty close to what he is in the movie. As far as height goes, I did really try to base the armor off of still images from the movie so that it looked like his armor. It didn't just look like a mechanized minifigure, but it actually took design cues from the movie itself. All right. Well, I'm not just going to do a show off my build video, but I also wanted to do a breakdown for you and show you how you can build this thing as well, and show you some of the internal techniques that I used to get it to where it is right now. So first things first, let's take Iron Man and War Machine out of here. And then we're going to go ahead and remove the whips. So you can see right here, they have this nice little hook shape to them, and that's what I was able to wrap around the helmets of Iron Man and War Machine with. He is studded onto the ground just with a single stud right now, but that's okay. We're going to pull him off here, boop, carefully, and just move the landscape out of the way. Whiplash down. All right, so here we go. There are a few things that I really wanted to capture with this character. I would have loved a helmet, but Lego doesn't make any kind of comparable helmet. There are some aftermarket ones that look pretty good, off-brand, non-Lego, like Lepin and that kind of thing. Apparently they didn't have the license, but they're willing to steal from whoever has the license, whether it be Lego, Mega Bloks, right? So, one of the things I started with were actually the legs. And the legs I really wanted to still kind of look like minifigure legs. So they're a little bit blocky. The feet do come down on a slope instead of being square. But I think that actually worked to my advantage a little bit because it almost makes it feel like he's actually wearing something over the regular minifigure feet, which is fun. The face and hair, the hair is pretty common to find, but the face is actually from Tasu Leech. I believe he came in the Millennium Falcon set from The Force Awakens. I could be wrong, but I know that the name of the guy is Tasu Leech. I'm not 100% sure on the set. But let's go ahead and start taking him apart. Since I kind of started with the legs, why don't I show you the legs first, right? May as well. Okay, so here we have the legs, which consist of about, 6 pieces, 7 pieces. So we've got a cheese wedge on here with a headlight brick, and that forms the base of our foot. And then we use one of those 1x1 bricks with studs on 2 sides. And I've just got a tile on the back there and then a clip on top. And that kind of forms the basis of our basic leg. But then to add just a little more greebling and detail, I use one of these neck braces and just pop that on that extra stud that we have on the front, kind of the knee joint, or the what could be like a knee, and pop it on there, and we've got a nice little leg. Pretty do. Sorry, it's late. All right, so we just make 2 of those guys. And then now this is where it comes into one of the details that I wanted to keep. He has a kind of a skirt on his suit, and so that's why I used this tooth piece here on there, is to kind of represent that front skirt, protecting the groin area. The skirt around the back, I wasn't able to figure out how to do that, but at least at this scale. But the front skirt, I was able to kind of draw some design cues from, so that's kind of fun. The legs are connected to the main body by one of these pneumatic tees. I'm not sure if they actually ever were used for the pneumatics. I have that pneumatic one from my brother who passed away. I haven't seen if he has any of those on there. I bet they do. So then those pop in together. And now here comes the really tricky part, which I think is actually one of the funnest parts, is the core of Whiplash is actually one of these gun pieces right there. So this gun, I think, was used by Rocket in one of the sets. I don't want to disassemble it too far because I'll forget how to put it back together, right? So it's this little gun that I actually ended up getting a whole bunch of them in a bulk order, and so I've never used them, but in looking at it, this is actually a really great piece for multi-directional builds. The arc reactor, unfortunately, is just a translite blue tile. I really wish that they had something else out there. I wish there was a printed tile that I could use. There's the aqua color, like the sand green color Iron Man that has one, but that wouldn't look good on this, right? So then I stuck the head on. I am trying to figure out how to do this good without sticking both my hands in the frame. So you got his on there, and then I just used one of these 2x2 modified jumper tiles, and it fits right on the handle of the gun. And interestingly enough, you do want to put the head on first with the hair, because it will want to go on as far as possible. So that'll be able to give it a little stopping point, kind of touches the hair a little bit, but you can still move the guy's head around. Again, I'm trying to do this one-handed so I don't block the screen too much. And then that gun piece just slides right onto the pneumatic, which is awesome. Good times, good stuff. Now I do have this little piece on the back, just this little bracket, and that's partially to help with the stability and also to kind of fill in the back a little bit because it's pretty empty without it. So if you look at the back, that black piece is a little bit lonely there. So we're going to just throw on those gray pieces real quick. And that kind of helps fill it out a little bit and make it feel a little more robotic, if you will. And we use a lot of these 1x1 plates here. Oh, got to use my arrow. That'd be better. Using these 1x1 plates all over the place to just fill it out a little bit and give it some color. Now the arms are fun because as I was sitting there trying to figure out, I built the Igor arms just exactly actually. But they were a little too wide and it didn't look like a minifigure was in a suit. It looked like a robot that I had built. And so I did use the what they call Travis bricks. It's the bricks with studs on 4 sides. And then cheese wedges to get the shaping and make it look like it's got a big shoulder pad, which he's got some sort of a protective covering around his neck, which is why I went with this route to try to cover up his neck as much as possible because that was a protected point on the suit. And then I got those cheese wedges on there, and then I tied it onto a jumper plate on the bottom part, and that is what attaches to the gun right there. So you can see the jumper plate right there. But then I came across this gun, which was used by the Chitauri soldiers. And I think it's like a ray gun, I think is what they label it as. And I had a bunch of them in flat silver from the Chitauri. And so I cannibalized a couple of those off. And then stole the idea of using the tooth pieces to fill it in a little more so it didn't look so skeletonized. And then stuck just a 1x1 tile with a clip on the end of it. Use the arrow, TJ. Use the arrow. I got it. And then that just pops right in. And I think it actually gives it a really clean look. And it's just slightly more bent than a normal Lego minifigure. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with that, with using that as the technique. So you just double that up. And there you go. There's your Whiplash Mark II. At least the base of it. Now I did use the trans light blue cheese wedges on the back, and the main reason for that was because in the movie he actually has those whips that travel all the way along his arms, the back of his arms, and up his back. To try to represent that as best as possible at this scale, I ended up just throwing those cheese wedges on the back. So that kind of worked out. Boom. All right, now the really tricky part, the whips. So I'm actually going to take one of these apart for you. I may not put it together on screen because it was kind of difficult to do. But if I take it apart, so we just use these translight blue round bricks and couple those with the 1x1 round plates with the hollow stud. And I don't know if I want to pull them all off the end. So you can see the end of it is still very sharply twisted there. You can see it kind of comes around and then kind of jumps backwards. Comes around and jumps back. That's the natural way that the whip works. And that part really is tight together and really doesn't want to move. So I'm going to actually take it apart backwards, I think. So another piece. So how many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those pieces. And there is our whip. So it actually maintained a little bit of its size there. It's not too bad. Just give me a sec. I'm gonna grab. Should have had this ready. I'm sorry. So this is what they originally look like. These Indiana Jones whips. And then this is what it looks like after. So if I put those next to each other, you can see that it definitely has stretched out quite a bit. So what I did is I started with the single brick that I needed, and I threaded that all the way through. You start from the handle is where you want to thread them from. That's going to give you your best purchase on the thing, and then slide it all the way through, and then you got to kind of tease it in, boop, like that. Ta-da! And then you basically just do that for the rest of it. Gray side first, and just shove it all the way through until it contacts the end. And now granted, they are going to keep curling a little bit until you get them all in. But that's just kind of what happens. Now, I normally wouldn't like ruining Lego pieces like this, but again, I think I mentioned before, these whips are actually not that expensive. I mean, they can be, 50, 60 cents a piece, but in reality, if I'm just getting 2 of those, paying a couple bucks to get a piece that I desperately need and cannot do the build without is, I think it's a good deal. So then as you pull them through, it gets tighter and tighter and eventually stretches it all out along this whole thing and extends it out. And that's, like I was saying before, this little end just flips back in super quick, which is really good for hooking onto things for displays or something like that. And then I've got one of these little tricky guys. I actually only have 2 of these guys in dark bluish gray. I don't think they're super hard to find, but they were hard for me to find in my bin, that's for sure. And then I've got another one of those hollow bricks on this end, but I just went with the black color because he does have some sort of a emitter or connector thing on his hand. I also think I may have just been out of light bluish gray. So there you go. So then you just stick that in there, and this can be tricky, but actually that's going in pretty good. Well, that worked out great. So it went all the way in, and now we're ready to hook it on to our Whiplash hands. Pop like that. Let's grab our other one and just pop that on right there. Boom. And then he's actually quite posable, but fragile as well. A lot of the connection points are on a single stud, and that does make it a little finicky and a little bit difficult to play with sometimes. But he is pretty cool to look at. Let's hope maybe I can figure out how to do the drones and build a bunch of like mini mech drones. That'd be pretty awesome. But in the meantime, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think Whiplash is one of the underrated characters in Iron Man, one of the underrated villains from the movies. I think he had a really good plan, and I think he executed it extremely well. And in the end, he may have lost in the end, but he did accomplish a few of his goals. So it's kind of like Civil War, when the guy's like, "Hey, I made you guys fight. Did I really lose?" I kind of feel that way about Whiplash, and as soon if the Lego ever makes one of these characters, which I hope they do, it'll be a good day. Just real quick one at the last. I did want to make him just a little bit taller than a minifigure. He's about a full head taller at this point, but you know what? That's pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. It still looks like there could be a guy in there, maybe just an extra big guy inside the suit. I mean, obviously you look close enough. There are gaps and things like, a guy couldn't fit in that. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So thanks for checking out TJ's Lego Room, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.